Her, the Meghan Markle.
Okay.
Yeah, just the fact that she wanted to leave the royal family because they were like, be proper and sit so. There has never been a point in my life where I did not know that the Queen...
The moment Meghan Markle sat across from Seth Meyers, the energy in the studio shifted. The lights were bright, the audience was ready, and for a while, everything felt effortless. Laughter, charm, easy conversation. But then Seth's jokes started cutting a little deeper, and that sparkle in Meghan's eyes turned into something else. What began as playful teasing turned into a moment no one saw coming. So the question is, did Seth go too far, or did Meghan finally meet someone who wasn't afraid to laugh at her royal act?
But you know it's weird, right? That Meghan and Harry left? Like, what? You thought rolling with those dorks in church clothes was gonna be fun? Had you been told it was nonstop laughs? Because you're thinking of the monsters, you see.
Man, Seth Meyers really didn't hold back that night. At first, it looked like one of those cute, charming interviews where everyone's all smiles, cracking safe jokes, and pretending Hollywood and royalty mix just fine. Meghan walked out glowing, waving like she was floating on confidence. You could tell she came prepared. Perfect smile, perfect posture, perfect talking points. But then Seth started doing what Seth does best, slipping truth inside humor. And that's when things went from flattering to fiery in about 10 seconds flat.
Ever have I ever?
Well, I mean, there is a difference between one's expectations about a life and the reality of living that life. I mean, she may have factored in what you were saying, but then day to day realized it was suffocating.
Yeah. That's...
It started so lighthearted. Seth joked about royal life, the curtsies, the protocols, the tabloids, stuff you'd expect, right? But every joke got a little sharper, a little more personal. You could see Meghan trying to keep her smile glued in place, but that sparkle in her eyes, it dimmed real fast. The studio audience laughed because, well, that's what audiences do, but even they felt it. The laughter started sounding nervous, like people weren't sure if they were still supposed to laugh or start praying someone changed the topic.
Not take it out, don't remove it, but I forget what I said about Mrs. Markle, the Duchess. I didn't mean to criticize her. The real dunce of this fairy.
Seth kept the grin, but you could tell he was riding the line. There's this kind of comedy that's playful, and then there's the kind that dances dangerously close to cruel, and he was toe-tapping on that edge. Every line felt like it had a hidden meaning. Meghan kept nodding politely, giving short answers, doing that I'll pretend this is fine laugh, but her body said everything else. She was uncomfortable, cornered, probably regretting every second. Then came the part where Seth brought up her media struggles. That's when you felt the air go heavy. You know those moments where someone's joking, but suddenly everyone realizes the joke isn't funny anymore? Yeah, that one. The crowd stopped laughing mid-giggle. Meghan tried to pivot back to her charity work. You could almost hear her internal voice screaming, "Let's move on!" But Seth, being Seth, doubled down. He tossed one more line about her family drama, and that was it. The whole thing shifted from awkward to painful in a heartbeat.
Harry has entered the chat. You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out, gangsta. Pretty sure Father Time was gonna sort out the case of the very old bummer woman.
And here's the thing. Seth probably didn't mean to make her cry. He's known for witty digs, not meltdowns. But when you've spent years being the butt of public jokes, even the funny ones can sting. You could see her eyes start to glisten, and every time she blinked, you knew she was trying hard not to. Let a tear fall. She sat there holding herself together with that royal composure she's famous for. But behind that calm, you could see exhaustion. The kind that comes from constantly having to defend your own existence. What really hit me was how the energy in the room flipped. One minute, everyone's laughing along. The next, it's dead silent. You could feel the tension through the screen. Seth tried to pull it back. You know, soft tone, nicer questions, fake smile of, oh no, what have I done? But it was too late. The damage was done. Meghan wasn't angry, she was just done. You could see it in her posture. Her shoulders dropped, her eyes went distant, and then she did the one thing no one expected. She stood up.
Being a royal.
You said that very well. Could I use that for Royal Watch? Or I guess we're... Yes, it's a huge deal that they left. And they thought everyone was gonna care. Meghan and Harry.
That moment was absolutely surreal. The kind of scene that burns itself into your mind because it feels too real to be television. Meghan didn't yell, didn't make a scene, didn't even roll her eyes. She simply stood up, gave a quiet apology, and walked off. No dramatic exit, no angry words, just silence and the soft, echoing sound of her heels against the studio floor. For a few seconds, nobody moved. You could almost hear the air shift in the room. The audience didn't know what to do. Should they clap, gasp, pretend it wasn't happening? Instead, they just sat frozen, eyes following her as she disappeared backstage. It was the kind of silence that says more than any words ever could. And then there was Seth. His face said everything. The confident smirk that usually carried him through awkward moments was gone. His posture slumped. His eyes darted nervously. He looked like a kid who just realized his prank actually hurt someone. That moment stripped away all the armor, all the charm that usually makes late-night hosts untouchable. Suddenly, Seth wasn't the funny guy with the perfect timing. He was just a man who went too far. Live in front of millions. The producers knew it too. The show cut to commercial break faster than lightning. When it came back, Seth looked different. Deflated, remorseful, and a little lost. The spark was gone. He didn't try to brush it off with another joke or hide behind sarcasm. Instead, he faced it head on. He apologized to the audience, admitted his jokes had crossed a line, and even praised Meghan for how gracefully she handled the situation. For a second, it felt genuine, a rare moment of humility on television. But no matter how sincere it sounded, no apology could undo what had just happened. The damage was already everywhere.
And then people did care, but then the story totally got eclipsed, and now people talk about it less. First off, two factors. You had Trump being president, which was a thing every day, and then COVID hit in March.
Well, COVID was spreading.
By the time the credits rolled, the internet had already exploded. Clips were spreading across every platform. Headlines screamed, "Seth Meyers humiliates Meghan Markle. Meghan breaks down on live TV. The roast that went wrong." It was chaos. Everyone had an opinion and no one was holding back. The memes came first, then the think pieces, then the endless debates. I'll be honest, I couldn't stop watching it either. Not because it was entertaining, but because it was raw. You don't see moments like that on TV anymore. Everything today feels scripted, polished, rehearsed to perfection. But this was messy, uncomfortable, and painfully real. It pulled back the curtain on the darker side of comedy, the part where someone stops being a guest and becomes the target. It reminded everyone that there's a razor-thin line between humor and cruelty, and when you cross it, the laughter dies fast. The internet was completely divided. Half of the people were furious at Seth, saying he crossed a professional and moral line by embarrassing her in front of a live audience. The other half mocked Meghan, claiming she overreacted and couldn't take a harmless joke. But honestly, both sides missed what really mattered. The real story wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about how easily we confuse entertainment with humiliation, how quickly funny turns into cruel, and how fast we all join in laughing until it suddenly stops being funny.
December, this is the Seth Meyers news. I know that, okay? I'm not chronology smart. I'm smart with words, smart with language, you know?
Well, then spell the word sheriff.
Get out of here.
In that one unscripted moment, everyone got a reminder. Behind every punchline is a person, and sometimes that's the part we forget. And I gotta hand it to Meghan. She handled it better than most would. She didn't clap back, didn't curse him out, didn't storm off screaming. She just left, quietly and with dignity. That takes strength. You could see she wanted to keep her emotions in check, but walking away was probably the smartest thing she could have done. It's like saying, "You don't get to control this narrative, I do." Meanwhile, Seth learned the hard way that even the most seasoned hosts can completely misread a moment. What started as another night of jokes and easy banter turned into something no one expected. A public lesson in empathy and awareness played out live on national television. When he walked out the next night to deliver his apology, the air in the studio felt different. You could tell the weight of it was sitting heavy on his shoulders. His usual confidence was replaced by something more subdued, almost fragile. For once, the laughter was gone, replaced by a quiet tension. Seth's apology seemed sincere. His tone was steady, but you could hear the guilt behind every word. He said he admired Meghan's strength, her ability to stay composed, even in awkward or uncomfortable situations. He admitted that his joke had gone too far, that sometimes even good intentions can land the wrong way. Watching him, it felt like he truly understood how deeply his comment had affected her. But by then, it was too late. The clip had already spread like wildfire across social media. The damage was viral, and once something hits the internet, there's no taking it back. That's the cruel truth about live TV. There's no rewind button, no redo, no way to erase the moment once it's out there for the world to see.
Just in March because of COVID, or most things. Things in the NYC did. Some things did. So this big stunt is suddenly like, what are you talking about? Like, we're dealing with a disease here.
The craziest part? A week later, the whole thing was still trending. Every major outlet was talking about it. Talk shows were analyzing it, podcasts were breaking it down minute by minute, and social media users were posting their own reactions, zooming in on facial expressions, tone, and timing. Some said it was the exact moment late-night comedy officially lost its spark, that the industry had become too cynical, too careless, too detached from the emotions of real people. Others saw it as a much-needed reality check. They said it was the wake-up call television desperately needed, proof that audiences no longer find cruelty funny, that people want to laugh, but not at someone else's expense. It's strange how fast things can flip. 1 second, everyone's laughing, clapping, and moving along with the rhythm of the show. And the next, there's this heavy silence that even the best comedian can't fill. Watching it unfold in real time felt surreal. Almost like watching a car crash you can't look away from. In just a few minutes, a lighthearted conversation turned into one of the most uncomfortable live TV moments in recent memory.
Look at this headline from Cosmopolitan. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle didn't publicly wish Prince Charles a happy birthday, and then the sub-headline under it, it says it's possible that Harry chose to wish his father.
And through it all, both of them showed something real. Seth, for all his years of experience, learned what happens when your punchline hits too close to home, when you forget there's a person behind the joke. Meghan, on the other hand, reminded everyone why she's so polarizing and yet so admired. No matter how hard people try to mock her or twist her story, she doesn't break. Maybe she was hurt, maybe even shaken for a moment, but she didn't crumble. She stood her ground with grace and strength. In a world obsessed with tearing people down, that kind of composure is rare, and maybe that's why, even weeks later, people are still talking about it. Not just because of what was said, but because of what it revealed about both of them, and about us, watching from the other side of the screen. So yeah, Seth Meyers might have mocked Meghan Markle that night, but by the end, it kind of felt like she had the last laugh. Because while he had to apologize to save face, she walked away with her dignity intact. And that's the part that makes the whole thing unforgettable. When the laughter stopped, the truth stayed. Some jokes just aren't worth the punchline.